Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tarnation TV, broadcasting simultaneously with the Flatout Racing Network. Happy New Year. It's 2026. We are here at Rolling Thunder Gaming. The Talladega Challenge is now in season number 67, and you're watching race number 1. We're still using version 4 of this track with the widened pit road. We're using a new mod. You know what? Let's let Flatout talk about all that stuff. We got Michael Norman and Seth Cole.
Top billing, woo!
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, welcome to 2026, people. As you alluded to, Blaine, brand new year, brand new season here for these drivers. Essentially, Michael, a clean slate for these drivers. Everybody starts at zero. Everybody's looking for that first win to lock themselves into the playoffs. Usually, when you have all that pressure off your back here and you're all coming in a level playing field, is usually when we're in for one of the most exciting races of the season. But while it is a new mod in relative terms to the mods we've had here in the last few seasons, it is in some ways a familiar old friend. They used to run the Men Cup 2019 mod back in the day. And during the interim, when they ran the Aero 88 cars and they ran the NXS 20 cars, there have been other series that have run the Men Cup 2019, and a number of these drivers have run in those series. So with that being said, we don't necessarily have to go through that period of adjustments. The familiarity with the hitboxes, does that make these drivers maybe even more aggressive out of the gate here tonight, since we don't have to experiment for the first half of the race?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to see these cars going 3 wide like always do, but now that they got more confidence in the fact that they know what these cars are capable of, I mean, we're going to see some more dicey moves out there now, especially with it being the first race of the season, Seth.
It is a packed house as well. Several drivers failed to make the first race this season. They had to do knockout qualifying. I believe by my last count, a total of, I believe 46 drivers showed up to race here tonight, and only 40 were able to make the grid. Something else that we have to bear in mind here is that the driver coming into this season, the defending champion, Chuck McClure, he won the season opener 1 season ago. Is that something that's in the back of the mind of these drivers, that maybe if you can establish the momentum right out of the gate here tonight, then in 14 weeks' time, you may be standing in championship victory lane?
We all know how the first race of the season goes, Seth. You know, it's going to be all about strategy. Yeah, he won. But like you said, you know, anybody whose engine starts in this race has a shot at winning it. And we've seen it come down to fuel mileage. With that car that's starting in second place, we've seen it come down to, crazy last lap passes, a couple laps before when the caution comes out, because, these races can end under yellow. So it's going to be exciting to see both of you guys here. It's going to be exciting to see who's going to come out on top in the first race season, who's going to lock themselves into the playoffs with the first win of the season.
We've seen that pit road that lined up on 40 strong play a huge part into not only who's going to win races, but also ultimately win the championship. A wider pit road for these drivers, and the Men Cup 2019 cars, they're a little bit wider with their hitbox as well, as opposed to the Xfinity cars they were running last season. So we'll have to see if maybe a little bit more elbow room is needed when they make green flag pit stops.
Maybe more elbow grease too.
Maybe. Very much so, maybe. You alluded to that front row. A couple of drivers who, back when we last broadcasted the close of season 66, they were in the final 5 to compete for the championship. Josh Metallic ultimately came up 4th in the final season standings. Brian Schilling, who starts to his outside, came up runner-up, 5 points shy of taking home his championship. They make up the front row. They will have Robert Spring and Kelly Causey lined up behind them in row 2. Bernie Mobbs and Grant Wesley, they're row 3. Row 4 finds Graham McDonald's and Jeremy Jeffries. Row 5, your top 10 completed with Greg Palmer and RJ Cabana. In row 6, you find Ulysses Sandoval and the defending Bracket Series champion, Donnie Garrett. Rodney Solins is back in row 17 with the defending champion, Chuck McClure. Row 8 is going to find Javier Negron. He'll be alongside of Denny Carroll, Bobby Farrell, and Joe DeSpirito. They're back in row 9. Your top 20 completed by Keith Bynum and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
There's the first one of the season. Row 11 is going to find Tim Knopsker and Doug Hewlick. Former champion Richard Martin joins Brian Lovell. They're back in row 12. Row 13, Greg Lovell and Mike Mangialardi. Row 14 will be Mark Paglia and Glenn Harris. They're back in row 14. Top 30 completed with Chris and Ken Roberts. Bob Seminara, he's going to be back in row 16 alongside of Terry Bombard. Row 17 with John Godfrey I. Jones. Steve Elliser going to be making his first start of the season. To my knowledge, never seen him make a start here in the Talladega Challenge Series. This may be a debut. He's back in row 18 with Milt Surratt. Row 19 is going to find Robert Breedlove and Brian Rawson. And the final row tonight will consist of Cody Lamas and Billy Elliser. Mentioned about the fact that 6 drivers failed to make the show. They included Doug Woolley, Pat McCarsky, Dan Pantaleo, David Little, Jeff Crivello, and Ron Hagelin.
Not Crivello DeVille. Great, thanks for the silence. Appreciate it.
Complete silence.
He just stopped.
Well, 66 laps of racing ahead of these drivers. You win here tonight, you spend the rest of the regular season just staying in the top 30 in the points to be able to run for the title. Metallic and Schilling get season 67 under the green.
Something that's going to be interesting this season, too, is yours truly is going to be racing the races that I don't broadcast.
So you're saying that everybody in the field tonight can breathe a sigh of relief. Next week, not so much.
I mean, you still got Cody Lamas in the field, so...
That's true. Something else we'll have to get used to here. Obviously, new mod. A lot of new paint schemes broken out here in this brand new season. Josh Metallic still with the Ryan Newman colors on his number 39. The Altel throwback, if you will, on his Aero McLaren-sponsored Chevrolet, but it's that outside line that gets the run, that familiar yellow Kodak scheme on Brian Schilling. Looks like he's going to bring them through the tri-oval and lead the first official lap of the season. Kelly Causey, Grant Wesley up there, going to clear the inside line. First, second, third, bouncing for fourth. That's Jeremy Jeffries on the outside line. So for those that are watching, you'll see on the ticker, Jeremy showing up as the 0-1. He visually for us this season will be the 1. The server decided to take the number 1, so Jeremy had to swap the number over, but we're going to still be referring to him this season as the 1 car regardless, as he's right ahead of that Fighting Irish Notre Dame, number 22 of Greg Palmer. Looks like the top 5 going to be clear as they make their way out of 4.
Knockout qualifying, not really a strange thing to happen here on Thursday evenings. Been a few weeks, I think, since it happened. But yeah.
I remember last season when we were getting down to the final 3-4 races. It was during the playoffs, and drivers that we talked to, a lot of them had different goals. Obviously, those that were in the wanted to win the championship, those that weren't in the playoffs were trying to end out the season with a victory, and there were a number of drivers that were down around that third of the standings cut line. They just wanted to make sure they were in the top 30 to start out the season, because if you were in the top 30 in points at the close of season 66, you are guaranteed to make the first 3 races of season 67. We are 3 wide back here around the 18th, 19th, 20th position. Drivers fanning out, some trying to charge the front, some look like they're trying to fall to the back. Javier Negron in the middle of all that, same with Brian Lovell, Bobby Farrell, Tim Nofsker.
Still operating under a 2x pit frequency, so 19-ish laps on a tank of fuel out here tonight.
And of course, as well, as we will see during the course of the entire season, random qualifying. And a lot of drivers said that played a big part into whether you were going to have good luck for the race or not. Of course, it determines what pit stall you have on pit lane, either towards the entrance or the exit.
And you're not in control.
That can play a huge factor into green flag and yellow flag pit stops. But we say it, and you mentioned it, Michael, if you're in it, you can win it. A lot of times at super speedways, it's not always about where you roll off the grid. You can usually find a strategy to get yourself to the front. Case in point, mentioned that Chuck McClure won the season opener 1 season ago. Did it rolling off from the 23rd position. As a matter of fact, the driver that finished second in that race, Greg Lovell, started shotgun on the field.
Win it just about anywhere if you place yourself correctly.
I see a car go off the track back there a little bit.
Oh yeah,
About
no
half a lap
caution
ago,
either.
yeah.
Rodney Sullins. The 38 has looped it around, entering into the trial. Will we remain green, however?
I think he might have gotten a little help there.
Is looking back here off of 4. We've seen that accordion effect before off of turn 4. He was trying to avoid running into the back of the 74 of Robert Spring, gets a tap from behind by the 92 of Bobby Farrell, and due to the fact that he spun down below the yellow line, race officials keep the track clear, so Rodney gonna certainly be hoping for a caution to be able to catch back up here. Rodney, a multi-time winner last season.
Death, I think you need to hit your live button. There you go.
Rodney was a multi-time winner last season, ended up winning the final regular season race, and then went on to go back-to-back, winning the first playoff race. He would advance his way into the round of 8, ultimately finished 6th in the point standings. Seeing more and more drivers migrating down to the inside line, trying to get something going. Jose Sandoval was down there for a moment. He's since jumped back up to the middle line. Denny Carroll's down there, along with Bernie Mobbs. Donnie Garrett was trying to make something happen down there as well with Chuck McClure, but now it looks like Carroll and Mobbs are left by their lonesome, and now we're starting to see more drivers ahead of them, and
it's an
RJ Cabana and Randy Waugh.
Paint scheme change on the 41 this season. I believe
Yes,
he was driving the Coors Light last season.
Goes from the Silver Bullet Smoke.
I'm trying to see what, if any, scheme that's referenced. I don't think that's a Tony Stewart scheme per se. And you really don't want to be in that bottom lane because it just really doesn't go anywhere. Unless you have a third lane.
Which we had for a brief moment. Donnie Garrett was trying to make something happen on that top side, but you see they've since broken away from Joe DeSpirito, who's the trailing car of that pack of 6 there in the middle line.
By the way, season 67 has a different sponsor who's flipping the bill for these broadcasts. So we'd like to thank, no idea. They wanted to remain anonymous. So thanks whoever that was. You're awesome, and that's all we can really say because we don't know who it is. That's why RPM is no longer branded on here, so.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. I mean, it's always a blast for us just to be able to watch these drivers at work. Some of the best in the business in super speedway racing, and you're seeing it on display right now. We went green. We've run so far the first official 9 laps clean, with the exception of the Rodney Sullins incident there off of turn 4. The flagman's had nothing to do up to this point since waving the green flag, and now we're starting to see some moves being made up here at the front.
Now we'll see
initiated it, and now Jeffries and Wesley jump.
Now for a brief moment we'll see the inside lane form because there's 2 cars on the outside lane there.
Brent Schilling and Kelly Causey.
Oh my gosh, what a shove. That was some chain bump draft in there between the 24, the 1, and the 88.
I took the opportunity to just kind of get acclimated to this mod and how it's going to feel out there for these drivers, and I was actually running, ironically enough, in a pack of 3 with Grant Wesley and Jeremy Jeffries, and Jeremy was shoving the heck out of Grant, so I think he's putting to the test what he learned in practice.
Agreed, I agree.
Just saw Rodney Sullins right there. going up to that third lane, letting the thundering pack on by, so he will fall a lap down. He's currently the only driver -1. Whoa! Ran a little out of shape right there after the bump from Jeremy Jeffries through the tri-oval, but Rodney would be in the free pass position if we were to get a yellow. Looks like somebody may have lost the draft. A couple of drivers have lost the draft. Steve Elliser, who we mentioned, I believe, is making his first start of the season, first start of his career back here with Billy Elliser. I'm assuming there's some relation there with the same last name, but I'm not 100% certain what the relation is. And it looks like Cody Lamas is also.
Oh, what happened to
Lost
Cody
touch with the lead.
Lamas? I guess he's executing his strategy perfectly. Well, I'm sure there'll be a wreck at some point. Wonder if maybe they had to take some evasive actions when Rodney got spun.
Could very well have been.
Because, I mean, being the last car in line with nobody behind you, you do have a good chance at losing the draft with this setup.
This mod's a great mod, especially on this track. It seems to be a very, I don't know. When it comes to the super speedways, it seems to be a big favorite.
Yeah, I will die. I will die on the hill that the Men Cup 2019 mod of all the mods that have come out is the best mod for super speedway racing, because it is the best mod to completely fill out the hitbox. You don't have any question mark of, if I try and door bang this guy, is it going to wreck us? If I try to bump this guy here, is it going to spin him out? You don't have those lingering questions, and it gives you the freedom to be more aggressive with the pushing and shoving that we're seeing here in both respective lines.
See, and they used to run the 09 truck mod here as well.
Yep.
And that's a pretty good one. But yeah, like you said, this Monster Energy mod from 2019 seems to be the bee's knees, as they say.
Wow.
And they just look
That's for
really
all you
cool.
old people out there.
Yeah. Fiddlesticks.
Interesting to see these drivers still side by side. I mean, we're talking all the way back through the field, about 15, 16 rows. With the fact that we're about 3/4 of the way through this fuel run. We're within the... They're going to have to start thinking about coming to pit lane. Normally around this point in time, they start getting themselves single filed out, all migrating to the inside line. If they keep this up, we may end up seeing them 2 rows deep, having to try to dive to pit road, and usually that's not ideal, especially if you're in that outside line, because you've got to make sure that everybody else in the line behind you is coming to pit lane as well, or if they're not, that they're able to swing around you as you're letting off the throttle coming off of 4.
Passing of Bob Dixon, we don't know when the pit is going to happen, because Bob would always go 3 or 4 laps early.
We do have some Bob Dixon reputation in the field this season. We saw last season close, Bobby Farrell had the Bob Dixon red and blue STP colors on his number 92. He has carried over that STP sponsor on his 92 here this season as well. It's interesting too when you talk about a super speedway series and the unpredictability of it. You look no further than the driver that's leading this race right now, Jeremy Jeffries. 1 season ago, he went in as the defending champion, and he failed to make the playoffs. He ended up finishing 10th in the overall standings. He managed to pick up a victory during the course of that season, but that was during the playoffs, and so Jeremy now doesn't have the pressure of coming in as the defending champion. A little bit of extra freedom to be aggressive here.
When they
not necessarily have
that
to
yellow
play
line, it
defense.
gets real scary.
Starting to see that second line dissipate a little bit now. More and more drivers trying to find spaces on that inside line. Schilling.
And usually the inside lane isn't that great. Entering the corner, you tend to push up.
That's the easier way to get to the road, so it's kind of pick your
I mean,
poison.
that's true.
Like Schilling's finally made his way down to the inside line, but I mentioned about the fact that we documented with this brand new fourth version of RTG Talladega. John Godfrey widened the pit road. Drivers had the opportunity with the somewhat smaller Xfinity cars to experience it last season. Now you've got the wider, somewhat bulkier Men Cup 2019 Cup cars. You gotta wonder if that's going to make these drivers have a little bit narrower of space coming to that wider pit road this season than they had last season. I believe some radios are lighting up. We may have some drivers diving to pit road here for the first green flag pit stops of the new season, right here off of 4. Joe DeSpirito gonna lead that back. And there's over a dozen drivers coming in with him, going all the way back to outside of the 20.
We were just on board with the 77 Donnie Garrett coming down.
Speed. A couple more coming in that were back outside of the draft. Lamas, Billy and Steve Elliser. I believe Chris Elliott has already made his just ahead of the leaders, who I believe many of them will be coming down pit road this time by. Oh, we got some spinning at the back. Javier Negron and Greg Lovell. We also had some contact further up ahead at the entrance of pit lane. Mark Paglia got spun around.
And none of it on the racing surface. None of it on the racing surface, so there's no yellows.
Even with the wider pit lane, it gets pretty busy when you got 20, 25 cars coming down at the same time. That's a lot of cars.
Some pretty extensive damage there for both Negron and Greg Lovell. Specifically to the back end of both of those race cars. I believe they both hit that Armco barrier down towards the entrance of pit lane, so we'll have to see how the damage sustained and maybe the amount of time spent on pit road repairing that damage is going to affect them for the remainder of this one.
Oh, that looked like smoke from somebody, but it could have been just coming off.
I think that was an upshift.
Yeah.
Joe DeSpirito in the 24 is the first car up to speed right now. He's going to, it looks like, with the momentum, move his way to the race lead. Just 2 cars to beat in Wesley and Jeffries, and with the help of Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
and Donnie Garrett, he will indeed cycle his way to P1 when they come around here to the start-finish line. It'll be his first lap lead of the evening.
From position 14, you can see last time by the stripe. And it'll change to a 1.
So far, it's looking good. I have not seen any issuing of black flag penalties for anybody on pit road. So pretty nice to see our first cycle of season 67 completely clean and abiding by the laws of pit road.
Speaking of season 67, what about season 66? Look at all those winners. All 14 races. Chuck McClure had 3 of them.
Yeah, it's incredible that we had so many different winners when we had so many multi-time winners. Like, as you mentioned, McClure, DeSpirito, Sullins, Wesley. A lot of parity.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, fully expecting as much, if not more so, parity here this season with this mod, because as I mentioned, a lot of these drivers ran in other series during the interim when they weren't running Men Cup 2019 here on Thursday nights in other series, so they've got that familiarity with them here in season 67 as they're starting to make some moves. Middle portion of this lead group, Brian Schilling moving to the front. This is very anti-Brian Schilling. Normally, I've talked about him being an advocate of running that third line, but now he's going to put the yellow car on the yellow line here with help from Nofsker and others.
How we're going to see, will these how broken up some of these packs are. We got this big main pack here, but what about the others?
This main pack right now looks like it's about 16, 17 cars strong.
Including some lappers.
Then you got to drop all the way back to the second group, which has 18th place Robert Breedlove showing the way. Looks like we got about a half dozen drivers in that pack. Josh Metallic, who started this race from the pole. We saw him fade back in the early going as he was stuck on that inside line, and after the cycle of pit stops, hasn't gotten much better. He's back here with Ken Roberts in a two-car tandem, 24th and 25th on the grid. Some others as well back here: Godfrey, Farrell, Len Harris, Mike Mangialardi. Looks like they did a pretty good repair job in the back end of Greg Lovell's machine, but he's all the way back here in 30th. Mark Paglia in 31st after we saw him spun on pit road. Sullen still a lap down, and then a couple of others way back here: Denny Carroll and Bob Seminara. Terry Bombard about to go a lap down to the race leaders. He'll be the fourth driver, -1. Steve Elliser, Billy Elliser, and Rodney Sullins to make the battle for the two lucky dog positions even tighter here, should we see a yellow. So far, we've not been without incident here in the first 24 laps, but we have yet to see the flagman throw the first official yellow of the new season.
For anybody watching the broadcast, I apologize. I don't know. There's something's going on with my streaming software. It seems to be chugging a little bit. It's having encoding issues, which is why it looks a little bit stuttery. The game itself is running fine, but it looks like the broadcast might be having a little bit of trouble sending us encoding the stuff on the fly, which is strange because usually I get like 0% failure.
Yeah, technology. Am I right?
And now today, yeah, it's so far 6% failure overall in the broadcast.
I always say technology is a beautiful thing when it works.
When it works, yeah. It's weird because I've got nothing open.
I want the lovely bunch of technology.
If we do happen to get a yellow, and I hope we don't, I'll try rebooting the game and see what happens. But I'm not touching that because even if it is stuttery, we can still watch it.
All right, now watching Kelly Causey leading that outside line. They're not making very much progress, though. There's about the same number of cars up in that third lane as there are in the middle lane. And Causey is still stuck alongside of the trailing car of that middle line, Brian Lovell.
What about
Bobby Farrell and others up there with him, but they just seem to be kind of stalled out. They're creating just as much speed as the drivers on their inside.
But they're going to latch on to Lamas here. That might help.
Because
those cars aren't damaged. They're just a lap down, right? So
yeah, this is going to be tight here off of turn 2. Ozzy would have gotten a nice draft slipstream there off of Negron and Lamas, but then certainly a difference in speed between this pack of 6 and those two that were on the outside line, and it ended up off of 2. Nice job by everybody to give enough space. And now puts Negron and Lamas into this battle for the free pass position as well. You've got about, looks like 4 or 5 drivers vying for the top 2 spots. One left down should we get that yellow flag to get them back, risk taking the wave around.
Unless they pray for it. Very caution.
Mentioned about Brian Schilling and Josh Metallic starting this race from the front row. Part of that battle for the championship in the final 5 last season. Chuck McClure coming in the defending champ. Joe DeSpirito was a 2-time winner last season. And he tied with Metallic for 3rd in the overall championship standings. 7 points in arrears to McClure. Ended up having a very strong second half of the season and looked to maybe build that momentum in the early going of season 67, lock him up early spots in the playoffs. I mentioned about it for Chuck McClure when he ended up winning the season opener last season. He then had only one goal, really, that he had to make sure of, and that was stay in the top 20 in points. his victory was going to lock him into a postseason berth. Whoever ends up winning the race here tonight, they will have that same goal, and it also frees you up for the remainder of the regular season to be more aggressive, go out there, try and get a second win, maybe a third win, rack up those bonus points for when the playoff begins. You can secure yourself the number 1 seed in the first round. Kenny Carroll got his first career win 1 season ago, and he just went a lap down along with Bob Seminara. More and more drivers. The list is growing of those that would love to see a caution to save their race.
Ooh.
So that's when we got a spin in the back. Cody Lamas just caught some air.
Uh-oh.
Where's the caution?
And he's back up in front of the...
Oh, boy.
Cars! Oh, he's going to get hit by the 26 of Billy Elliser. It's going to bring out a yellow. Sir did not.
Unless he was, for some reason, just think he was going to cut down low, but that's going to end Cody Lamas's day.
I believe Graham McDonald was the other driver involved with Cody on the back straightaway. And yellow flag will fly for the first time here tonight.
Now we'll find out.
Officially on lap 30.
Find out if there'll be anyone to take a wave around besides just, the lucky dogs.
I'd be very surprised if we did, because we're 11 laps into this run, halfway through a fuel run. I don't know if anybody would risk it. But I guess if you're going to go for the risk early on in the race, I believe this is going to start with the 33 of Graham McDonald and the 48 of Cody Lamas. Graham was on the lead lap. Cody was a lap down. Looks like that pesky turn 2 where the inside line car pushes up.
I couldn't tell if Cody had come up, pushes up, or if Graham came down, or if it was both and just met in the middle.
I think it was both.
I would love go on. You should ride on board with the 26 and see if he tried to slow down, because I'd love to know what his mindset was when he was approaching a stopped car on the racetrack. Ooh, yeah, that might have been a little bit on Cody there, a little bit, just the inside pushing up,
Yeah, it's tough off of turn 2 because you're that middle line driver. Graham's probably following the car in front of him off of turn 2. Cody's having that push up that drivers deal with
and
off of turn 2.
You can't exactly let out of the gas because it just pushes your car more.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% certain about the Billy Elliser incident because Cody does exactly what you're supposed to do at a super speedway. Holds the brakes, keeps exactly where he's at so everybody can maneuver their way around. And there's a pack of about 6 or 7. Everybody all moved up to the outside line with the exception of the 26.
Yeah, like I said, I'd love to see what his stats say when he was approaching that Cody. I wonder if he even tried to slow down or if he just assumed he was going to RTP. No, he did. I mean, he slowed down a little bit.
Doesn't look like there was very much lift.
No, not at all.
Well, as you alluded to, Michael, it looks like that indeed has taken Cody Lamas out of this race. So he'll get credited for 40th place here tonight. Elliser is still out on the racetrack. Graham McDonald, I don't believe, ended up really making any contact with anything.
Out on that racetrack, to be fair. That was a hard impact at 180 plus miles an hour. I don't know how his engine's not killed, but...
Yeah, one thing about the Men Cup 2019 cars as well that makes it a little bit easier for us as broadcasters is it's got a pretty decent damage model, so you are able to kind of tell if a driver is going to be up to speed or not.
And on realistic damage, it looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you're losing hoods and all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, I rebooted the game and it didn't seem to work, so we lost the replay, but gremlins. I always just blame the gremlins.
I'll agree to that.
Yeah. I mean, I could run the same broadcast in like another day and it would be completely fine. Oh, Bombard to the pits got a little bit sideways there.
I think there was a little Valvoline sponsored car pact of staying out there. That first lap of caution, the Chevrolet of Brian Rawson, the Ford of Brian Lovell, both coming to pit road now. That'll turn the race lead over to Grant Wesley, and most of the lap down cars did come down pit road here under this second lap. A couple of them electing to stave out to take the wave around, including Bob Seminara and Rodney Sullivan. So this is risky on their part because they will more than likely, in less than 10 laps when we go green, have to come to pit road for fuel. They are playing the ultimate gamble here that they will get a quick caution to be able to stay on the lead lap. And again, I like this call. I know it's a risk, but I like this call because better to do it in the first half of this race. We're actually right at the halfway point, rather than put yourself in a situation with 10, 15 to go, where more than likely you're not going to be able to get yourself back in the lead lap. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, you've still got 8 more races in the regular season.
Not to mention, you can't just claw your way back up to the front very quickly either.
Exactly. See Denny Carroll up there in the outside line. He was one of the 2 drivers that are going to get the lucky dog here. Have to see who the second driver is. It might potentially have been the 10 of Terry Bombard. And indeed it is. Well, these drivers last season had the full 15 race schedule, 9 regular season races, 6 playoff races, though granted only 5 of those playoff races were deemed official. This season, they'll have 8 regular season races along with the 6 playoff races. The only week that they'll be off, February 12th, as more than likely these drivers, along with the rest of the NASCAR world, will be watching the duels at Daytona. So that's their only off week. Season will conclude on April 16th, where a champion will be crowned.
So RTG breaks for real NASCAR.
Yes, they do. I think it's the only race that they really have to take breaks for because it's the only race that runs on a Thursday night.
I was going to say, it's because it's a weekday, yeah. Everything else, there's a reason they run this on a weekday, so it doesn't conflict with stuff like that. But Daytona already, wow, eh? Time flies.
It certainly does.
February, so you got Super Bowls, and then you got Daytonas.
So something that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on here. This is obviously the season opener for the Talladega Challenge Series, but Rolling Thunder Gaming also has 3 other weekly series that run Monday through Wednesday. The Bare Bones Racing Series on Monday nights, their iRacing Series on Tuesdays, and their AR88 Series on Wednesday nights. Jeremy Jeffries is batting 1,000 so far here in Season 67 as he has swept Monday through Wednesday. Could we see him pull off the entire weekend sweep here tonight in the Tally Challenge?
Wow. That's amazing. So they're running, what mods are those ones?
So it was Next Gen Mod at Pikes Peak on Monday night.
Nice.
They run the ARCA cars on iRacing that he won on Tuesday night. I'm trying to remember what track it was that they were at. I want to say it was Pocono. And then last night, they were at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Aero 88 cars.
So literally just all kinds of different tracks, all kinds of different cars. This guy knows how to drive them.
Yep.
That was Jeffries you were saying?
Yeah. I feel like we maybe need to have a series, Jeremy Jeffries, anything with an engine. I remember Jimmy Johnson had that back in the day. Maybe that's what we need with Jeremy. Or to avoid copyrights, we'll just call it anything with wheels.
Right.
Grant Wesley in a Dodge this season. Familiar NOS colors on his Charger. Going to bring us to the first restart of the new season. Joe DeSpirito alongside him. Between the two of them, they have led 17 of the completed 34 laps. And they will get us back under the green flag.
The Pied Piper, I call him, here in RTG, going to be on the inside there, getting ready to see if he'll be able to clear for the lead, coming off into turn 2.
39 drivers still running. 36 of them currently on the lead lap.
Not too many cars off the lead lap. We'll see if we'll get a quick caution. Everybody back in the same fuel strategy almost.
So at the initial start of this race, that inside line kind of faded back the longer the run went on. Brandt and company hoping that will not be the case here on this race. Right behind him, Joe DeSpirito on the outside's got Ulysses Sandoval for draft help.
Outside lane usually is preferred lane, but if you got enough good pushes on the inside, you can really make it even. Also, I did say Luigi, but my mic was off.
Gonna say. Whoa, we had somebody down there almost below the yellow line. I believe that was Doug Hulick, new sponsor on that number 23. Black Flag Flying Insect Repellent. I don't know if that's bad luck to have a sponsor Black Flag when that's the last flag you want to see at a super speedway. Whoa, big move there by Joe DeSpirito as he'll leave that middle line. But a Grant Wesley, and a big reason he might have done that is because here comes Chester Cheetah on the outside line. Chris Elliott, along with Keith Bynum and Ken Roberts, and they've got a lot of help in lane. That's going to draw back that middle groove and give the advantage to the inside line. Just look at how that caution gave new life to a number of drivers that were struggling after that cycle of green flag pit stops. Ken Roberts third in that third lane. He was stuck back with Josh Metallic, two-car tandem outside of the top 20. Mark Paglia is in the middle line right now. He got spun out on pit road. Now he's up here fighting to get back into the top 15. Caution helped a lot of drivers to get back into the conversation for
Really
a good
does.
finish here tonight.
Really does, and just look at this three-wide action that we have now.
Top 7 all clear of this 3 wide. That's about 2-3 rows deep. Ooh, Kelly Causey, actually correction, that's Milt Surratt pushed up off the inside line. RJ Cabana in the middle groove here. National Guard 889, now he'll find it. Well, he tried to find a lane down in front of Milt Surratt, and they were nearly 4 wide through the tri-oval after that stack up. They settle it back out to 3 wide. Oh, and Milt's going to get a bump from behind by Bernie Mobbs. Up the track into Doug Hulick. He's going to get Bob Seminara, Greg Lovell, and Steve Elliser as well. Lovell is upside down.
And there it is. That quick caution we talked about, Seth.
Field is frozen. They will maintain their positions coming back to the caution. Greg had to call a tow back to pit lane. And this is exactly what Rodney Sullins wanted to see. This will get him back on the lead lap, and he'll be on the same sequence as everybody. Another driver who had that same strategy going was caught up in the wreck in Bob Seminara. A lot of damage on the left side of Doug Hulick. This was all the way back in turn 1. It started with the 80 of Milt Surratt. Seemed to really be having a lot of trouble holding the inside line. I believe he's going to push up off the bottom of the racetrack. Might have clipped the apron going into 1, and that little lift as he was putting up the track brings him back into the 31 of Bernie Mobbs. And as he's spinning around, drivers above him all trying to give the space necessary, and the first car he gets is the 23 of Doug Hulick, and it's just on from there. Corner wreck, some of the toughest to try to dodge at a super speedway. You can also add Terry Bombard into the list of drivers that were involved in that.
We don't ever really want to see this, but this is just a product of super speedway racing.
Wild ride there for Greg Lovell. Took a shot into the passenger side door from Bob Seminara, and then as the car went up and hit the outside wall, the weight kind of counterbalanced and flipped him upside down. He is still sitting on pit lane. He will more than likely lose at least one lap, maybe two here under caution, as just about everybody comes down pit road this time by, with the exception of a few. Causey, Spring, and Mobs all going to stay out. Mobs might potentially be staying out, taking responsibility for that yellow. Looks like Javier Negron also staying out. I think he is in line for the lucky dog, one of the two lucky dogs. The other one
There's so much
would
stuff
have been
happening
Steve
right now.
Elliser, but he was involved in the wreck, so I don't necessarily know who the second free pass driver is going to be. So this caution will not get us home on fuel. We more than likely, I would say, we'll go back green, maybe completion of lap 43 onto 44, if not completion of lap 44. That will still put us more than 20 laps short of the finish. So these drivers will still have to make one more pit stop between now and then. One thing about the brand new season, cool to see all these new liveries, but kind of have to learn them here as broadcasters. And what I'm going to have to get used to is Bernie Mobs. I'm used to seeing him in the number 31. I'm used to seeing him with the Citgo colors. I am not used to seeing him in a Chevy Camaro. Back when they ran the Men Cup 2019 here on Thursday nights, he was then actually the number 90, but he was a Dodge. Now over with the Chevrolet bow ties here in season 67.
Don't forget to mention, too, another one of the talented painters in this community, Bernie Mobs.
Absolutely.
Helps out dozens and dozens of drivers.
Also sometimes because it's so easy to do. Basic color schemes, where you just got to change the car one color before adding on your contigs, makes life so much easier, but I still don't do it.
Yeah, Jason Sheck in our chat bring this up, and yeah, we'll definitely plug this as well. Mitch and Terry Bombard, they are bringing back their Amish's Survivor Series on Friday nights. Their season kicks off this Friday evening. Vintage 1965 trucks is
cool.
the mod, so that'll be interesting.
A very cool new mod.
I agree with that statement.
Remember seeing earlier today, Mitch posted a couple of photos of some trucks that'll be on track. They look pretty neat.
That mod kind of came out of nowhere for me anyway. I didn't know it was being built.
I don't think anybody really did. They kept it under wraps really well.
And it's amazing. It's so detailed, and like each different make, Chevy, Ford, like the glass on the windows breaks different, like the damage is different. It's weird. It's really cool how they put it together. And it's vintage truck, so you literally sometimes just get a truck that doesn't even have a number on it. It's just all a rusted out truck. Like it's been sitting in the backyard for 60 years. Not used to seeing Greg Palmer in a blue and green car.
Yeah, he's got the Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
On that machine.
Yeah, the Fighting Irish.
I haven't been keeping up with college football. I don't know exactly how Notre Dame's been doing. Got Alabama represented there by Randy Waugh. And I don't know if he has the paint scheme this season. He did last season on the Xfinity cars. He's running the Warner Brothers sponsored car tonight, but we'll have to see if some point this season if Robert Springs got that Ohio State Toyota Camry fielded at some point.
Is there a limit on cars the guys are allowed to upload in a season? 3,
I might be
think?
wrong. I believe it was either 2 or 3. I think it's 2 primaries and 1 throwback, because they still have the throwback nights here every other week. There's your lucky dogs going around there, Javier Negron and Steve Elliser. So that will have us with 37 drivers on the lead lap when we get ready to go back green. Billy Elliser and Greg Love will be the only 2 drivers 1 lap down. Next caution, if nobody else falls -1, they would get themselves back on the lead lap.
So much for these guys being able to get Obsidian and everything, too.
Fastest lap tonight, eh? You see that one? 203.2.
Oh, I was looking at Grant Wesley's last lap, which was 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Yeah,
I thought that was a blazing fast lap time. Seth, could you beat that?
could beat it by a minute.
I was gonna
Maybe
say,
more, hopefully.
yeah.
I think we know somebody else who can. He's sitting in 3rd place right now.
Yeah, Ulysses Sandoval. Saw him working his way up to the front. Sandoval, a couple of seasons ago, he was in the playoffs. He was a multi-time winner. Last season, he ended up making 13 of the 14 starts, but he finished out the season with only 1 top 10, finished 20th in the standings. There's a lot of big-name drivers. I talked about this the close of last season that we're so used to seeing running up at the top 5, top 10 that really struggled, as you say, had that slump last season. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to turn it around here this season. You look in the direction of Bob Seminara and former champion Richard Martin, Mark Paglia, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
I mean, these are drivers that
he's 3rd on the inside there.
Yeah, we're so used to seeing them finish up inside the top 10 week after week, and a lot of them, season 66, maybe a season they want to forget and rewrite here in season 67.
Oh, someone just pulled out of line.
That was Billy Elliser in the 26. I believe he's needing to drop to the rear of the field as one of the lap down machines, but they'll get that sorted out towards the tail end of the field. Grant Wesley about to lead his 9th lap of the evening as he'll get us back green. 23 laps to go in tonight's season opener. Oh, and someone blew up in the back. I believe that was Mike Mangialardi in that Sunny Delight number 29.
Caution is out.
I just saw black smoke, and cars were trying to avoid it.
One of the brightest cars in the field here tonight, at orange and sunny yellow. Mike Mangialardi's brand new scheme, and it has grenaded on this restart. No, he is not.
Wonder if he missed a shift.
That's possible.
It looks like maybe when he shifted from 2nd up into 3rd, potentially. Or maybe 1st into 2nd. Yeah, from 1st to 2nd, that's when the smoke erupts from underneath. And as he was trying to get out of the way, other drivers behind him reacting to the smoke ended up getting together. Keith Bynum and Brian Lovell.
As soon as it seemed like he took a little bit to even just try to move out of the way. I think he didn't even try to move out of the way until he crossed the start-finish line.
He held on to it. I mean, for an engine let's go, sometimes it's easy to lose control of the car, but the yellow is always going to come out too, right? When the engine blows up, probably considered a debris caution. Is that how that works?
Yes. If you don't throw in the clutch, if you keep in the throttle, more often than not, the game will read it as a debris caution. And another thing there for Mike Mangialardi as well, he held his line. They kind of took him 3 and 4 wide.
Mm.
And I know that a lot of drivers too, sometimes they'll run with smoke turned off. Makes it easier for you to be able to see if there's a wreck in front of you, where you need to go, what path is clear to be able to get through unscathed. And if you have smoke turned off and your engine lets go, you don't see the smoke coming out from behind your race car. You only have your dials really to go off of. So sometimes it can take you by surprise and the reaction time isn't as quick as you'd like it to be. Everybody, for the most part, back down pit road again. Just taking advantage of these caution laps.
Yep.
To get closer and closer towards maybe a fuel window to get to the end. We're not there yet, but boy, are we going to be close.
Yeah, it's getting into, like, a lot of these guys clutch a lot anyway to save gas. A couple extra yellows and jam as much fuel as you can. And that tank will play a factor.
I mean, Michael, you mentioned it. We've seen a little bit of everything here in these Thursday night races. Go back a couple of seasons ago, season opener, did come down to a fuel mileage race. Brian Schilling literally coasted across the start-finish line to season. Right now, with where the number's at, we could be looking at a run back potentially.
The 6 and the double O both got
interesting.
black flags. So Kelly Causey and Brian
potentially
Rossi.
been on the restart.
Would they still be showing? They should have been cleared by now.
Not sure.
And even if it happened under yellow on pit road, it's just an end of longest line penalty anyway, so it's not that big a deal.
Right.
Well, in a 40-car field, it actually is.
It might feel like like an eternity back there.
There was maybe, 23 people on the tracks, a little, okay. 40, Only 2 cars out of the race. Cody Lamas had the accident early, about 16, 17 laps ago, and Mangialardi with a camshaft failure on that restart.
See Chris Elliott staying out here to get himself a lap-led bonus point. May not seem like much here in the first race of the season, but we have seen, beginning the playoffs and even during the playoff rounds, one single point can be the difference maker into where you're going to find yourself positioned for the championship. I mean, go back to last season, we ended up having not a Final Four, but a Final Five to run for the title. And you look at Elliott and Kelly Causey, Brian Rawson, drivers that have stayed out and led a lap or two. That bonus point could be very valuable by the time the checkered flag waves in the regular season finale.
And it's interesting, too, they do the playoff format, but they also keep track of the points anyway. The points between first and second was only like 6, maybe even less of a gap.
Wow.
So like you say, I can't remember. I know McClure won the championship, but he wasn't, in points. It wasn't more than 5 or 6 point gap to second place. So you just figured like maybe you didn't lead a few laps. It could have been even closer. But what if that second place car never led a lap the whole season?
Yeah.
Compared to if he led at least one in every race, then he would have beat him. So, but it's also a knockout playoff thing, so that's different. But yeah.
But one of the things that amazes me is in Super Speedway racing, and in particular this series here for RTG, it doesn't matter what the format is, whether there's no playoffs, whether there are playoffs, and you have the different types of formats that they've had. Of course, we've had in the past the one race determines all. We've now implemented the 2 race final round, and the points always continue to still be close. The first season that they implemented this 2 race final round, Martin, he won the championship by 1 point without winning a single race the entire season. So, as you mentioned there, how close it would have been if we'd had no playoffs last season. Ultimately, it came down to 5 points between McClure and Schilling. It doesn't matter what type of format it is. They always find a way to make it super close at the end.
It's the amount of people that show up and love this game, love this simulator.
Going around to get the one to go just to see the wave around cars on the outside there.
Now, I'm not 100% certain why the 42 of... Yeah, now he's falling back. Steve Elliser is already on the lead lap, so he's now dropping towards the tail. Billy Elliser, Greg Lovell were the only 2 lap down cars. They'll get back in the lead lap, so all 38 drivers that are still running on the track will be on the same lap as leader Bob Seminara.
That was probably a scenario of, hey, Elliser, get up here. Wait,
yeah,
you.
Maybe.
Because there's never been 2 in a race before. So he's like, but why? Oh, no, not you. Billy.
They're going to have to differentiate them now.
Yeah.
So just double checked, and it looks like the two drivers on the front row, Seminara and Bernie Mobbs, did not come to pit road under this caution period. They are either banking on another yellow coming out and drawing everyone to pit road, or the fact that they believe that everyone behind them will not have enough fuel to get to the end. They are choosing track position over fuel under this caution period. We'll see if it works out for them. Kelly Causey won the battle off of pit road of the drivers that pit. He joins Doug Hewlick in row 2. Remember, Hewlick was actually involved in the second caution. Had some pretty extensive damage on the left side door. They've buffed that out pretty good. Josh Metallic, who started on the pole. Grant Wesley going to make up row number 3 with Ulysses Sandoval, Brian Schilling, Donnie Garrett, and Chuck McClure going to be the top 10. Only 2 drivers so far tonight have led double-digit laps. Despirito's led the most with 14. Grant Wesley has led 10. Next closest to those 2 would be the driver out in front right now, Bob Seminara, who's about to come around and lead his 3rd lap of the night.
My game just quit. Oh, man.
We'll call it radio style then.
Yeah. We'll just look at some cool Sullins renders. Thanks, Rodney.
The field going to make their way through the tri-oval. Chevrolet bow ties on that front row with Seminara and Mobbs. Green flag back in the air. There'll be 18 laps to go here tonight in the season finale, and a great launch for the outside line. Mobbs is going to swing around the outside of Bob Seminara. He'll look to pull down in front of the 712 off of turn 2. Nope, instead he'll stay up in that second lane to pick up Kelly Causey. Some stack up back around the 7th, 8th position. The wounded, damaged car of Doug Hewlick now caught in the middle as Grant Wesley brings Brian Schilling, Chuck McClure, and others up to the 3rd lane.
To your cars.
And everything that transpired on the back straightaway helped Seminara on that inside line to keep the race lead as they come thundering off of turn number 4. Josh Metallic now behind him. Still 3 wide. Was for 5th. Now for 4th. About to be for 2nd place as Wesley is flying high, wide, and handsome with a shove from the 4 of Brian Schilling. Major warping car in the middle of the pack, and RJ Cabana. For a moment, he was down in the middle line, almost a passenger in the Kelly Causey machine. Looks like that has sorted itself out, as here comes Wesley. Trying to get alongside the right rear quarter panel of Seminara, who with that shorter way around the track through 3 and 4 will edge ahead for the moment.
For the moment. A moment is a long time on a super speedway. For
yes,
the second,
it is.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching the live broadcast. Apologies again for the stutteriness of it. I don't know what's going on, but I'll look into it. Hopefully there's a log file or something I can inspect. Happens sometimes.
There's that middle line surge that we're used to. Wesley now clear for the top spot. Trying to bring Brian Schilling, Chuck McClure along with him. 3rd line back there being led by RJ Cabana. He and Richard Martin found themselves kind of high and dry last time by down the back straightaway as most drivers in that 3rd lane moved down into the middle groove. But that's getting the green flag with 18 laps to go. I'd be very surprised if drivers that came down pit road at the 1 to green cannot make it on fuel. That would put them within the 19-lap window that we're used to.
It's going to be close if you think about it, so you definitely don't want to be the race leader, but And instincts around the end of the race tell you differently. But I mean, it's gonna be close if we don't get another caution.
A lot of guys' strategy too is like, you know what? Let's just go for it. You know, they don't I don't conserve or nothing. I just go. If I need gas, I get it. But that it is a crazy thing. Like, you know, just by a little bit of clutching, you can save a ton of fuel by the end of the race. It's wild how much that works. Every little bit counts.
But to your point, that's the beauty of the season opener as well. Mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. It's a clean slate. Everyone's at 0 points. If the strategy works out and you pick up the win, securing yourself a spot in the playoffs, great. If it doesn't work out, well, you got 7 more races to be able to set the benchmark here tonight of what do you need to do? Do you need to win? Do you need to have consistent top 5s, top 10s in the final races of this regular season? It's the ultimate gambling race, really, of the entire season, because after that, you basically now have your measuring stick. Ooh, big warp out of Chuck McClure, who disappeared for a moment from 3rd place.
Yeah, I saw that too. He looked like he flashed in and out a couple of times.
Tends to happen every now and then.
Coming in, the defending champion and the defending winner of this season opener 1 season ago, does not want to have something out of his control like internet take away his opportunity for winning the first race of the season back-to-back seasons. I don't know if there's anything in it in terms of bragging rights if you're able to pick up the first Tally Challenge win of the new year or not.
I think it would mostly be bragging rights.
Grant Wesley about 3 laps away from eclipsing Joe DeSpirito's most laps led. Of course, an extra bonus point is paid out to the driver that leads the most circuits. Grant Wesley was a lap-leading machine last season. Ended up leading 145 laps in the 13 races he participated in. You take that over the span of 14 races, we're talking about 16% of the laps he turned were out in front. May not seem like a high number, but for super speedway racing, when there's so many different drivers that take turns at the front under green and under caution periods, that is a staggering percentage. Ironically, the driver that led the second most laps, led 12% of the laps last season, 111 circuits out in front, is right behind him, Brian Schilling. So no surprise to see these 2 drivers up here at the front of the field in the closing stages of this one. Closing up on 10 laps to go, and you're starting to see drivers back towards the latter half of the top 10 starting to make some moves to the inside line. You can't go forward if you're riding where everybody else is. Jeremy Jeffries makes the jump down to the bottom. Ken Roberts, Ulysses Sandoval there with him. Donnie Garrett's now going to jump down in front of them from P6. Trying to make something happen, work their way up here towards the top 5. Got a 3rd lane as well. That is Joe DeSpirito making the charge with help from Hewlett. Keith Bynum is up there. I believe I also saw 088 of Tim Knopfsker in that 3rd lane. So charges to the front on the 2 bordering lines, trying to reel in that middle groove. Donnie Garrett with a big move there from bottom to middle, middle to top in front of Joe DeSpirito. Side-by-side battle right now for 4th place is now Schilling with the move on Grant Wesley, and he and Chuck McClure are going to time it perfectly, trying to get around the 88 as they see that 3rd line coming. A couple slow cars up ahead of the race leaders as they are 3 wide, about 3-4 rows deep, middle of the pack.
They'll catch them definitely before the end of this race.
Those two drivers would be Greg Lovell and Billy Elliser. Both drivers badly damaged from earlier incidents tonight. They will go right up against the wall, give as much room as possible to all 3 lanes heading here into the entrance of turn 3.
Four wide, holy moly.
Oh, gosh. But there's plenty of room for it here at Talladega.
No, they were
something
actually
happened to
almost
Elliser.
5 wide.
Yeah.
Elliser got up into the wall to get out of these drivers' way, and when he did, Greg Lovell nearly ran to the back of him as he pulled low to avoid the 26. They were 3 wide beneath him, so great job by everybody to give space in what was a very confined area of the racetrack on the entrance to the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, someone got really loose middle of the pack back there, and it's
go.
Javier Negron. He's up and over, as is Brian Lovell. Robert Breedlove's going to catch air as he comes down on top of Keith Bynum. Donnie Garrett's in the middle of that, and the big one has struck here with less than 10 to go.
Late in the going, we have about 7. Well, they should get the caution with 6 go, which means we might have a 2 or 3 lap shootout.
And it is race back at this point, too, is Schilling trying to hold off RJ Cabana, who shows the nose, gets a shove from Jeffries, but half a car length short. Schilling will keep them at bay, at least for the moment, which means he will be, more than likely, the control car for what looks to be the final restart of the night.
Should be interesting to watch.
I think a lot of this culminated from that near miss we saw when they were 4, almost 5 wide. I believe this is going to start with the 77 of Donnie Garrett. The third lane checked up quite a bit when they were having to avoid Lovell and Elliser, and they backed up off the exit of turn 2. And I think Garrett's going to get... Well, actually, it was Bynum lifting a little bit for Garrett. He gets a bump from Graham McDonald. We actually had 2 wrecks, really, in 2 different areas of the field. They wrecked behind them with Javier Negron and Cy Jones before the incident occurred up ahead. And it all seemed to culminate into one giant wreck down the back stretch.
Yeah, because we're watching the one wreck, and then something else happened.
Like maybe some bumper grab between the 40 of Javier Negron and the 7 of Cy Jones that initially started this wreck. Mark Paglia, Bobby Farrell, John Godfrey all involved in this one. Javier, when he comes down the racetrack, he's going to clip the back end, right rear quarter panel of Brian Lovell. That's going to flip him upside down. And then up ahead of them was the incident with Garrett, Breedlove, and others. That ultimately those in the first wreck ended up entering into the vicinity of Chris Elliott. Man, he did such a good job getting through that first wreck, had himself committed up to that outside wall, and unfortunately for him, by the time he got up there, Breedlove had spun up into his path. Tell you, I think might have gotten through that whole thing without incident was the Tide Ride of Milt Surratt. Granted, he was a little ways behind the incident. He goes all the way down to the bottom. Whoa, my gosh, narrowly missed the 40 of Javier Negron. He definitely gives, I think, an onboard worthy ride there through that wreck.
Roger that. And we get to see the spiffy steering wheel of Milt Surratt. See if we can fast forward this a bit. I backed it around too many laps. There she is right there.
As we're watching the replay, just keeping an eye on the drivers making their way around the track live here. No surprise. Doesn't look like anybody has hit pit road. Everybody feels they've got enough fuel to make it the rest of the way. We've got a couple coming down pit road for repair damage. Cy Jones, a lot of smoke billowing out from underneath his Sunoco machine. Greg Lovell also on pit lane, getting a little bit of extra TLC done to his Buffalo Bills Camaro. Everybody else all staying out, and the lights are still on, so it looks like we are destined to close out the first race of season 67 with a green-white checkered.
Yeah, why not, eh? Green, white, checkered.
Ryan
No pressure.
No, not at all. The only thing I would say that there is a little bit of pressure in is you want to win this race.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be aware that between now and next week, there's going to be the admin race replay review that'll go on. And you don't want to end up causing a wreck trying to win the race, because more than likely, if it's deemed on you, you're going to be sent to the back of the pack in the final finishing results. So you gotta race aggressive, but you gotta race clean here for this final 2 circuits around Talladega. It looks like all 38 drivers that are still running, they will finish this race on the lead lap. Elliser and Lovell, we saw them lose a lap under that last green flag run. They are the 2 lucky dogs here, so they will get back on the lead lap. Only 2 drivers at this point out of the race, Mike Mangialardi and Cody Lamas. They've done repairs to Cy Jones. He's back out there, albeit probably not up to speed, but try and salvage what he can. And Brian Schilling, who last season only found victory lane once, but all the other races that he didn't finish in victory lane, he finished consistently, ended out the season 2nd in points. And he mentioned to us last season when we talked to him in victory lane in that race that he won, he said it was nice to be able to race for the win rather than have to save for the win. We know him so much expertise in fuel saving when in tight situations like that. Well, here tonight, he's going to definitely get to race for this win as he'll look to hold off RJ Cabana, Jeremy Jeffries, Ken Roberts, Ulysses Sandoval, your top 5, with Richard Martin, Terry Bombard, Chuck McClure, Denny Carroll, and Brian Russin. That's your top 10 when they get ready to take the green flag. Will that be the same top 10 when they come around to take the white or the following checkers?
Always hectic when this happens because you think it's just going to play out, but it never does. We've seen it happen where you'll be going into the last lap and you have a big, like the big one will happen. You have a guy that was in like 37th spot thinking, I'm just hanging out back here. Be able to dance his way through everything, much like we just saw Surratt do. And all of a sudden you're up front. And you're going, wow, how'd that happen? You know, you're content with just being, okay, well, it's been a long race. I'll take 25th. And then there you are at the front row.
Now, Michael used the word, beginning of the night, positioning.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in super speedways, you just got to be in the right place at the right time. Drivers back there outside the top 10, top 15 that we might be looking at here right now. Looking at next week, having to improve their stock in the point standings, could find themselves very well up towards the front of the field once the smoke clears and the dust settles. They have to get around here to the white flag for the race to officially be over. If the caution comes out between now and them taking the white flag, race will end under caution. Can they make it around at least one lap to finish the final lap up to speed? Brian Schilling up through the gears, gets us back underway for the green-white checker to close out the season opener.
Look at Ken Roberts hanging out there in like 4th, 5th position. Where'd he come from? He was way back there at the start of the thing after that first pit cycle. It's a long race. Don't give up.
Top 4 all going to find their way to the bottom. From Schilling back to Sandoval, side by side for 5th. Roberts, Terry Bombard. Looks like that momentum is really on that inside line right now. Drivers have alliances. They have teammates. They talk about during the course of the season, if they have a win, they try and help their teammates win as well. Well, this is the first race of the season. I don't think there are any alliances up here at the front of the field. Everybody wants that golden ticket into the playoffs. They will take the white. We race back here for 2.66 miles. Can Schilling make that Chevrolet Camaro back bumper as wide as possible and keep them all in the rearview mirror?
You still with us, Michael?
Ooh, Schilling left the bottom open.
Been silent for the past 5 minutes. Schilling's got
trying to make a move.
One, yeah.
Schilling let the door open to the inside. Oh,
blown
massive
engine.
wreck.
Was it another engine?
I'm not sure, but
what happened?
McClure was up into the wall. Roberts up into the wall. Here they come through the tri-oval.
We'll go back and check it out later.
Schilling is going to hang on. Jeffries cannot make a move. Brian Schilling will win the season opener. Came from out of nowhere to make it a 3-way tie for most laps led. And he will lock himself into the playoffs with that victory. Now just has to stay in the top 20 in the point standings. And he was nearly wrecked on the back straightaway there on the final lap of this race, throwing a very gutsy block on Jeremy Jeffries, but they were all able to keep it straight, and Brian Schilling is going to find his way to victory lane for the first time in season 67.
Race number 1. For the first time in season 67. It's got to start somewhere.
Here you see Chuck McClure pulling alongside, offering congratulatory bump. He was up and into the catch fence.
With what's left of that car, I was just going to say, geez.
That car crossed the line in the 23rd position. There were a number of others that were involved in that wreck, and Roberts amongst them.
Take a look at your winner here and see what kind of donuts he's going to lay down. Ribbons. Lay down some ribbons.
Now, we obviously put a lot of emphasis on that race back to the checkered flag, but I think we also need to look back at that race back to the caution that led to that final restart. It was half a car length between Schilling and RJ Cabana, and a lot of times those races back to the line, when you know there's only going to be a few laps left in the race for the final restart, being the control car is so important. And for Schilling to have that little bit of an edge and be the control car when they went back green allowed him to be able to go full court press defense and keep everybody behind him to pick up this win.
So many strategies in a race like this too. You got your pit strategy, of course, and then not speeding, getting into a pits and all that stuff. Not even not missing your pits. That's another thing. Make sure you hit the right pit stall. But like you said, they're controlling the restart, man. Especially that late in the race. If you miss by a fraction of a second and they get a run on you, it's over. It's over.
And he nearly did end up missing it there on the back straightaway. See him pulled up alongside of that memorial banner they've got down here, just towards the exit of the tri-oval near the start-finish line for all of those that have lost. Of course, most recently, Wiley Code and David Cannon. Got Robbie Nice is featured on there as well. Rusty Little. And Schilling will be bringing that machine to victory lane, and we'll be dialing him up in victory lane here in just a few moments, as we now get ready to dial up our podium finishers. And well, we ended up seeing Schilling hold off a horde behind him. Some drivers make some late charges through the field to finish solidly in the top 5 and the top 10. How about this guy we're about to dial up? Sneaks a podium finish from out of nowhere. Let's dial up the driver of the number 10, Terry Bombard. Hey, Terry, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
You betcha, bud.
Wow, wild race here tonight, wild finish. We expect nothing less when it comes down to a season opener here. But you started deep in the field tonight, 34th off the grid. Never really saw you make a charge to the front until we got to that 10-15 to go mark. And then, did the seas just part for you here in this final 2-lap shootout? Or did you really have to kind of stick your nose in there and make the space for yourself to nab this podium tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty much like you said the first time. I was quagmired in the back there, and I couldn't move anywhere. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm in 10th, 7th, 6th, and I was like, cool. And then we took the last one, and then the 2 cars pulled out in front of me, and I just stayed low, and away I went. Good deal.
Well, fantastic start to the season for you. We talked about the fact that there were a lot of drivers that last season maybe didn't quite go the way that they wanted it to, looking for a little redemption here this season. You finished out last season 15th in points. Good start to the season here. With looking back at last season coming into this season, was there kind of a goal or a difference in mentality?
No, not for me. Same old goal like I always have, and I always say I suck at qualifying, so I got trained a little bit, but I haven't had a chance to use it yet. But everything the first 2-3 races for me is trying to stay in the top 30. So, but this is gonna help that out, I guess, huh?
Absolutely. And how about the migration back over here to the Men Cup 2019 mod? Did it kind of give you, and do you think maybe the rest of the drivers, a little sense of comfort to start out the season here, kind of like meeting up with an old friend again?
Yeah, for sure. Like somebody was mentioning there before you pulled me up, it seemed like the bumping was a lot cleaner with these cars, so that might be helping out the incidents. So we'll see. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm glad to be back in my old X-Lax car.
Well, it certainly was a rocket ship there in the closing stages. You bring it home solidly on the podium tonight, P3. Congratulations on a great start to season 67, Terry. And before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Hey, thank you very much. You guys do a great job, FRN. Love it. Can't wait to see the replay as usual. I'd like to thank RTG. Great job putting on everything here to keep this place running for us, and we just can't tell you how much we appreciate them. And miss a lot of the guys that are gone now, and it just sucks, but you know it happens. I think my boy Mitch painting this car up for me. Love it. And of course tomorrow night in our new trucks mod, he painted me a truck for that, and I'm going to be known as Gumby now. It's Gumby's driving it, so love that. So, and also I'm going to give one more shout out real quick to Jeff Cavillo. He couldn't make it tonight because he blamed me because he missed his exit coming home from work, which is another reason why I probably got a 3rd place finish, because when he's here I suck. So thank you for missing the race again, Chief.
Well, Terry, congratulations on the great run here tonight. We had Jason Sheck in our chat that made us aware of that series you got starting up again, that Amish Survivor Series with the vintage 65 truck. So best of luck there with that series and everything, and congratulations on the great run here tonight. Best of luck next week.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a good night.
Nice run, Terry. Thanks.
Terry brings it home in the 3rd position here tonight, highest finishing of the Ford Mustangs. Chevrolets will make up the rest of the podium. Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home, P2, Jeremy Jeffries. Hey, Jeremy, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
I do.
Wild race here tonight. We always seem to expect aggressive racing in the first race of the season because everybody starts with a clean slate. Coming into tonight, we documented that last season didn't exactly go the way that you hoped for going into that season as defending champ. Looked like tonight maybe a little bit of extra motivation out of that 01 on the grid, but number 1 machine. Looked like for a brief moment there on the white flag, you had a potential move to the inside line, but just was the back bumper of the Ford just a little too wide? What exactly happened there?
I was gonna go low, and I was getting pushed from behind, and it pushed me into him quicker than I wanted to be there, so I had to back out of it, and he was able to get back down in front of me, but I was gonna try to make that move. I couldn't time it right.
We saw in the early stages of this race, you were able to get out in front, lead 6 laps of this race, then kind of got shuffled back. With what we saw here tonight, obviously we've documented the migration back to the Men Cup 2019 mod. We saw all 3 lanes working here this evening, being able to generate runs and momentum. How difficult was it in working your way back up to the front to be in the conversation for this win here tonight?
Actually, I didn't have too much trouble, believe it or not. I think that last restart, I restarted 20th, and I was up inside the top 10 pretty quickly. Or not the last restart, but the restart before that. And then the final restart, I just had the right line and got all the way up there behind Brian to do the actual final restart. And, I knew I was going to be pushing him until the last lap, but I ended up having to push him all the way around. So congrats to him. He ran a good, smart race, and that's why he's a multiple-time champion.
Still able to bring it home in P2 here tonight. Coming into a race like this, up here in the broadcast booth, we'd love to be flies on the wall of a pit box or, in a driver's ear to know what a driver is thinking at a certain moment in time. But a lot of times we usually hype up these season openers as everybody coming in with the must-win mentality, because then you've got the rest of the regular season. If you end up getting involved in a wreck or don't get the finish you want, you can try and find some consistency to get those points back. But hey, if you're able to go to victory lane, you got yourself locked in the playoffs. Did that seem to be the sense that you got here tonight from everybody else, and was that your mentality coming into tonight's race as well?
Yeah, we all pretty much have a clean slate there, so who doesn't want to be locked in the first race? You got 8 other races where you don't have to worry about a thing, or 7 other races, and so that would have been nice. I don't mind being second in points. I'd like to at least stay up there in the top 5 all the way through until the reset. So, but yeah, I guess next week it'll be a lot of the same. Probably the first 2 or 3 weeks, because everybody's also fighting to get in that top 30 too. So, you saw both those problems with the win. Yeah,
we'll be definitely keeping track of that as well during the course of the beginning of this season. But Jeremy, a great run for you here tonight. Spent some time out in front, nearly picking up the victory this season. But as you said, good second place run here. Nice stepping stone to begin the season here in season 67. Congratulations on that great run. And before we go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Again, congrats to Brian there on the win, and to Bumby for finishing 3rd. It was a great run for Bumby. Thank you to you all for broadcasting, FRN and Tarnation TV. Thanks to our donor this season, and the memorial aspect behind the donation as far as the people we've lost at RTG and the veterans. It's kind of a package deal there, which is pretty cool. And thanks to everybody out there watching.
Well, that's Jeremy Jeffries. He brings it home solidly tonight. 2nd place in the season opener. Congratulations on the great run. Best of luck next week and the remainder of this regular season. Maybe next week we talk to you with that 1 position better in victory lane.
I would love that. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Jeremy Jeffries, P2 here tonight. You all saw the replays of that massive wreck coming back to the checkered flag that involved a number of drivers, including the driver that won the season opener 1 season ago. Tonight, the season opener belongs to the Ford Brian Schilling. Let's dial him up in victory lane. Hey, Brian, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
And I remember last season when we talked to you in victory lane, you said, man, it felt good to be able to race for a victory rather than have to save fuel to get the checkered flag. Tonight, you had to race in that final 2-lap shootout. you got to be the control car. You had Jeremy barreling down your back bumper. Things looked a little sketchy down the back straightaway there. Was there a heart rate jump potentially there as you were only half a lap away from claiming this first checkered flag of the season?
No, absolutely. Jeremy's, me and him, many of races, battling out at the end. A couple seasons ago, we had a championship against each other, and we were running 1 and 2, and we literally cost ourselves both the chance at winning because we're fighting each other so hard. But I'll race side by side with him any day, and I appreciate he did cut me a little bit of a break there because he was getting pushed from behind too. So thank you, Jeremy, for cutting me the break.
We go back to last season. You had the consistency during the regular season to advance in the playoffs, but it wasn't until we got into the postseason that you were able to find your way into victory lane. How much of a weight off your shoulders is it to get this first victory this early on in the season and now be able to build off of it in the following 7 races?
Oh, it feels great. It's been quite a while since I've been in this position, so I'll take advantage of it. Wins are great, good finishes are better. Win the regular season points, give you more bonus points. Now it'll be just try to get myself situated the best to go into the playoffs.
You kind of answered a little bit of my question there of the future mentality in these upcoming races. One thing that I do have to ask as well, I feel like we've asked drivers these questions in season openers when we've migrated over to new mods. Now, granted, this is a new mod for you drivers. It's been a while since we've been in the Men Cup 2019, but it is a mod that you drivers are familiar with. Coming into tonight, how much more of a comfort level was there for you, and did it feel like for other drivers? Because we saw some pretty aggressive racing right out of the gate, but we saw some good long green flag run as well.
Oh yeah, these cars are, I don't feel like I missed a beat, or a lot of guys didn't. These cars are very good to push. There's not the bumper hook or some of the other nuances that the other mod had. So it just felt like riding a bike. We just got down to business and we had some pretty good racing.
A great race for you here tonight. We saw you last season just come up a little short of the championship. The driver you lost out to won the season opener 1 season ago. You win the season opener here tonight, so maybe lightning will strike twice, and we may be talking to you in championship victory lane when all is said and done. But for now, Brian, we'll let you get back to your celebrating here. Before we do, though, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
As always, thank you, Rodney Sullins. This car looks amazing. Never go wrong with Kodak at Talladega. Chuck, thank you for your help. Going up to the last yellow, and basically told me to save myself. Jeremy, thank you for not cutting me a break, or thank you for cutting me a break. Thank you for the sponsor putting the broadcast on. Thank you for the broadcast. And I hadn't said anything tonight up until now, but earlier today I lost my cousin to cancer, brain cancer. One of the greatest people I've ever known. Would just do anything to help anyone. I just want to dedicate this one to him. He'll be greatly missed by everybody that he's affected. And
user in your channel timed out.
He touched so many lives, and he'll be missed. So rest in peace, Wade.
Well, Brian, we appreciate taking the time to talk to us. Congratulations on your victory, and obviously our condolences go out to you as well. Congratulations on being able to get this victory for him, and we wish you the best of luck the remainder of this regular season heading towards the playoffs.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Ryan Schilling, first driver to park in victory lane in 2026 here in the brand new season at 67, denies Jeremy Jeffries of the week sweep by 1 position. And you kind of look at Brian Schilling, as I mentioned last season, he was very consistent. He found that one trip to victory lane that locked him into what was eventually the final 5. But Chuck McClure last season, he won the season opener, had that freedom all the way down the regular season and carried that momentum into the playoffs. For Brian Schilling here tonight, could we be looking at almost a carbon copy of Chuck McClure's playbook from one season ago?
I can't. I'm just distracted by this software. Now it's running fine. I love how now the race is over, and but yeah, man. Like last season with Schilling, remember we had some wild races with him, and McClure. What was your question? Sorry.
Do we maybe see Brian Schilling pull off this season what Chuck McClure did last season, winning the season opener and then ultimately winning the championship?
Yeah, McClure had 3 wins last year too, right? So
yeah.
Speaking, I would say last year. How many? They get about 3-4 seasons a year.
Well, technically, you're right this time because it was 2025, the last season they had.
The initial.
Apologies for that, by the way.
Yeah, where you been the last 48 minutes?
A drink that spilled that almost cost me my entire computer.
Oh, don't do that. What kind of drink? Now I gotta ask. Now, what kind of drink?
Just a glass of milk.
Shoot! Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was a whiskey or something.
I wish. No, the wires on my headset tend to bunch up, and it knocked over the wires. Ended up knocking over my glass of milk.
I got a thing too. Like I'll have a cup sometimes, and but if my water is always in a bottle. But oh man, that would be a nightmare.
And then I ended up green screening myself when I was trying to clean it up. That's why I disappeared. Seth knows because that happens a lot whenever we're trying to do something right, Seth.
Yep.
So, and that always happens at the end of these effing races.
So you guys have been doing a lot of this Tally Challenge stuff on Thursday nights. What is the most amount of wins a guy has had in one season?
In one
that's
season?
That's a good question.
Like
from
5
what I
or
can
6?
remember, it was 4.
Wow, okay.
I remember...
Well, because then you were saying somebody
I believe Chuck
won...
McClure's had a 4-win season, Grant Wesley, Joe DeSpirito...
Because you're saying like somebody actually won without ever winning a race.
Yeah.
So
Richard
you don't
Martin.
need to win, but when you're going to win 4, that's that's hard to beat that guy. But yeah, that's cool. I'm sure there's stats go way back and we can find that answer. But hey, man, we're off to a rolling start. Team Schilling, let's see if you can do it.
And when drivers get those multiple wins, they say to us, they would be happy with just the 1 win because they are so hard to come by with the level of competition here in this series. So it's basically like icing on the cake if you're able to get those extra wins, those extra bonus points, or if it's during the playoffs, that free ticket into the next round. So what we saw here tonight, I think that's just going to be child's play. I think Jeremy might have hit the nail on the head. I think we're going to see this same aggressive racing in the next couple of weeks because you got those drivers trying to get into the top 30 in points, and there's still 7 races left to go in this regular season. Some drivers might give themselves maybe a 5-race buffer to get points back. They may still look at races 2 and 3 as must-win mentality.
Talk about last year too. Sullins had 2 wins in a row, and that was a really good week for him in other leagues. He was winning everywhere for 2 or 3 weeks straight. He'd had 2 in a row here in season 66, but he was winning over at like prime time. He won a race, and ASR he won a couple of races. It was just like, this guy can't stop winning. So if you get that horseshoe or that that lucky clover or something, it'd be fun to see. Maybe somebody could break that win record.
Sometimes it works out that way. You just find that little bit of mojo you need, and it can carry across all different series, or it could be that one particular series. You mentioned Rodney ended up winning back-to-back races last season, so it's certainly not outside the realm of possibility. We could be talking to Brian Schilling in Victory Lane again next week. We're going to certainly have to wait and see, but at least for Brian Schilling, he can check off the win a race on his list and advance into the playoffs here for season 67. Congratulations to him, and we look forward to seeing who else may be joining him via a win in the playoff grid, as we'll be back at it next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on FRN and Tar Nation TV. And thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight. For Blaine Donlin, Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. See you guys next Thursday as we continue on season 67 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series, simulcasted on Flatout Racing Network and Tarnation TV.